Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. Let me get that. There we go. We're a little bit more centered. Welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. Welcome to Massive Iron Live, the longest running lifting podcast in the history of the universe. My name is Steve Shaw, the big, hairy, ugly dude. Don't ask, don't tell. Honestly, I've been on YouTube for so long, so incredibly long. I can't even remember where the nickname Big Hairy Ugly Dude came from if I just started babbling it one day or what. So anyway, welcome to Massive Iron Live. This is a live video podcast dedicated to helping you maximize your muscle and strength building. No topic is off limit when it comes to fitness and nutrition, diet, training, nutrition. Post up your questions. Doesn't matter if we've heard them 1,000 times before. You need help. I'm here to help you. So don't be shy about posting your questions. So before we get into that, a couple of logistical things. If your questions don't go through, try shortening them. Sometimes the longer questions don't go through the YouTube system. And sometimes YouTube will filter things because of words it doesn't like. What words? I don't know. Sometimes people just find their questions don't go through. So if your questions don't go through, or you are tuning in late, you can always message me on Instagram, @the barman. Slide into my DM, ask your question. I'm here to help. Also, we have a Discord group. If you want to be part of our community, check the link in the video that I posted on Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember. The link is in there. And if the link is not working, because sometimes the link has a limitation as far as the number of days, you can hit me up. You can hit me up on DM, and we can get you into the group. I'm copying it right now. I'm going to paste it. You guys can screenshot it and type this into your wonderful little thing. Come join the Discord group. It's a very positive we focus on positivity, motivation. There's no trolling, there's no nonsense, there's no chaos. So please come join us if you want to be part of the community. All right, before I dive in, a couple of notes, a couple of things I've been working on. I've been working on the Savage system as a PDF. That'll be available soon. So keep your eyes out for that. Basically, Savage training is adding a couple of rest pause sets at the end of a last set of an exercise. Nothing overly complicated, but a whole heck of a lot of fun. And I'm going to be releasing that very, very soon. I'm going to be making some changes with my business, adding some options for you guys to connect to my workouts. One of the things I'm going to be doing is opening up a few more specialized groups, maybe for over 40, maybe for home gym folks. Just keep your eyes on that. Nothing crazy, nothing that's going to replace Team Massive, but just more places for people in the Massive Iron world to connect and plug in. One thing I've been thinking about for a long, long time, and I think right now is the time, is providing a platinum level as far as coaching, something that allows for lifters to connect a little bit more deeply with bi-weekly video calls. And I haven't done that previously because I wanted to make sure that I had the right amount of time, but I think this is now. I'm going to be opening that up very, very soon. It is going to be more in-depth. I mean, my coaching right now, I connect 5 days a week. But with the in-depth coaching, you're going to be able to submit unlimited form checks. We're going to have bi-weekly phone calls. You're going to have ongoing access via texting or messaging, so you don't have to wait. The once a day check-in, sometimes I get some back and forth in. When I can, I try to do that. But the next tier of coaching is going to be a little bit above that. It's going to be complete direct access when I am in office. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be very picky about who I let into that, and that sounds a little bit, I don't know. It might sound a little bit funny, but I want to make sure the people that get involved with that are hardcore. They are ready to track everything and really dig into the nutrition. This is really going to be hypertrophy and strength focused for the serious type of athlete. Not that my clients aren't serious. You guys are all serious, but those that really want the next stage of just diving in and getting in with that granularity. Now, one more thing before we get started, folks. My website, superlivingtoday.com. My most popular service outside of coaching is the custom workout service. I have 3 to do tomorrow. I usually get 2 or 3 of these a week, and they're really a good way for me to help you to develop something custom for you based on your injury history and your available equipment and your split preferences. There's no cookie cutter nonsense here. You can head over here and just search custom in the search bar. And the beautiful thing is it's only $39.99. It takes me about an hour to put together based on your information, and it's a really good deal, etc. So check that out if you're interested in that sort of thing. Other than that, if you're interested in coaching, I am just, my coaching service, and you can just check out the coaching tab. I do things a lot differently. I'm not a check-in once a week spreadsheet guy. I'm available with my clients 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. They can send 1 to 2 form videos a day, every single day. They don't have to ask Monday through Friday. I check in every day and look at their weight, their workout reports, their questions, their form videos, and we keep things moving and we keep things updated on a daily basis. If you're interested in that, please check out the coaching tab. I was the online coach of the year last year, beating out 400,000 other online coaches. This isn't something I tried to achieve. It's something that was a huge honor and they gave to me. So I'm very happy about that. The year after that, I was in the top 4. So this is what I do for a living. And if you want some serious help, it only costs $89.40 after the first month. And I'm able to keep prices on the less expensive side because I coach for a living. This is what I do 12 hours a day. All right, let's dive into things. Enough babbling. Ian said, do you have any shirtless pictures? I've posted a number of them over the years, and I don't know that I have them handy. I've been very transparent. For those of you guys that don't know, I don't know if I can find them quickly, but for those of you guys that don't know, I lost 100 pounds. I was 346 pounds, and I have loose skin. I lost 100 pounds. I mean, it's to be expected. I've always been very transparent about that. I'm trying to find posts from me. Let's see. We got a couple here. I'm not a big shirtless guy. I mean, it's just not my thing, to run around shirtless and post pictures of myself shirtless. But I do have a few that I've found, so I'm going to share those with you guys. And let me just search for my back picture. I used to have a really good picture of my back without the old shirt. So hold on one second. No, I've spelled that wrong. Hold on one second. Posts. It's not being nice. Posts from you. Hold on. We're getting there. If I search back on here, I'm probably going to get a million different things. So no, I can't really find it. All right, let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Share screen. Present. Share screen. Do. There's one. After a 100-pound loss. that's pretty much an overview. You can see a little bit of loose skin underneath the bluebies and underneath the armpits. I have a little bit of loose skin there, a little bit of loose skin under the weight, under the belly or on the belly area. Let's see, We'll do one more just for the heck of it. For those of you guys that aren't familiar with my body transformation, I was 346 pounds and I nearly died from type 2 diabetes. This is a picture at my worst before right when I started to get into powerlifting. The picture on the right is pretty much, it shows you I have some loose skin on the lower chest area. I have loose skin on the side of the chest and a little bit of loose skin on the belly. I'm not, a 12% leanness guy. That's as lean as I have ever got. So that's about it. Thanks. All right. What do we got here? Happy Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Is it detrimental to do preacher and hammer dumbbell curl 3 times a week? I recover fine. If you're recovering fine, no, it's not detrimental. Would I like to see a little bit of variation in the mix? Yes. But if you enjoy what you're doing, go after it. The biggest thing is to do something that you enjoy and do it with intensity. And that's my biggest advice. I really don't care how people train. As long as there is progression overload in the mix, you should be good to go. Ian had a follow-up question. There are some visible abs in one of the pictures I showed. But yeah, I've had visible abs. When I first started training, I was about 154, 156 pounds when I entered college at age 18. And I proceeded to get up to about 180. I don't know, because I really wasn't weighing myself every week. I didn't really have a scale, it wasn't, but I remember weighing myself a couple times around that time, and I was around 186, 188. And I was pretty much right around 13.5% body fat. And I had abs. I didn't have abs like super carved, but you could see them. And I mean, in the pictures that I show you, I did have, not abs, but I had them coming in, and this was at about 22% body fat. So, I'm not really worried about abs. I like, you can see them kind of coming in, just an outline. This is at about 22% body fat. If you want abs, go for it. It is what it is. I lost 100 pounds. I'm happy with my body weight. I like being, around my body fat percentage. I just feel better. I like the way I look in a shirt. I really don't want to get down to 190 pounds. It just doesn't interest me. I've done everything over the years, and no, I'm not interested in being in the visible abs crew as of today. All right. Is narrow grip work on rows and vertical pulls enough? Well, I don't like that question. And I appreciate your question. But it's not that I don't like the question. It's in the massive iron world. You want to, is this good enough? Is that good enough? The answer is always, a good quality selection is good enough. Is it good enough? It's good enough if it's good enough. It's more about the bigger picture. So doing narrow grip work on rows and narrow grip on vertical pulls is good. If you find your tears taking over on wide grip pull downs, understand that it doesn't necessarily mean that other muscle groups aren't being worked. What it means is that it's probably it could be the weak link. Maybe it is taking over. Who cares? It's a compound movement, and don't try to compartmentalize or deconstruct a compound movement and turn it into an isolation movement. My hamstrings get absolutely hammered on squats. So My quads never do. My quads get big. The biggest lie we can tell ourselves is that if we feel a certain thing, something else isn't growing. Just always have a good selection of exercises. Don't overthink things. If you're unsure, add in another exercise variation. That's all I can really say. Rico, how's it going, Rico? Thanks for tuning in. Give us the word. The word of the day is this has been my damn best week of training all year, and I'm super fired up. Really on a good track right now, really on a good track with diet, really on a good track with training. It just feels good. Monday, I did chesticles. Tuesday, I did back. Wednesday, I did kind of junk. I actually trained abs and rear delts and calves on Wednesday. Yesterday, Thursday, I did shoulder work, and I'm going to get in leg work. So, yeah, everything is going really, really well. That's the word. Shelly, good to see you, Shelly. A client of mine, happy to see you. Paladin, what separates the intermediate and advanced lifter? This is something I've touched on before. And an intermediate, there are certain things that you can't really be called advanced at. You need to know what works for your body. You need to be able to do your own programming. Somewhere in between the intermediate and advanced level, you start to completely understand, or not completely, because we don't completely always understand, it's ever evolving, but you are able to program for yourself. You know what generally works. Your program might not look or make sense, look smart or make sense to anybody that's looking in, but you know what works for you. If you look at the advanced program of, or the programming of nearly any advanced lifter, they're all going to look differently. And on the surface, you might scratch your head and figure out, try to figure out why they're doing this or that or the other thing. But usually it's from 10 years of personal experience and what feels good and what doesn't feel good. The intermediate lifter pretty much has everything dialed in. You can't get to the intermediate level without dialing in your nutrition to a reasonable degree, dialing in your form to a reasonable degree. There are a lot of intermediates that come to me that have made pretty decent progress, but they're still a little bit sloppy on their lifting form. Not to any fault of theirs. I mean, they're going in, they're doing progressive overload, they're doing a reasonable job, but there are little rough edges that need to be cleaned up a little bit. And you can see this on pretty much any lift, curls and lat pull downs and deadlifts and whatnot. Being an intermediate isn't all about strength levels, but you have to have some track record of strength and muscle building. There has to be some reasonable, track record. I have built up my strength through progressive overload and hard training. I've built up a degree of muscularity. I would say yesterday on Team Massive, somebody posted a picture. I believe it was Kayla posted a picture of someone 5 years of training. And she said, is this good year? Is this good training? Results after 5 years. They were kind of at that early intermediate stage where you could kind of sense they were getting it a little bit, but you could tell they really hadn't hit full stride with their training, their nutrition. A lot of intermediates come to me and they don't have their nutrition nailed down. Sure, they're eating their protein. They're might even be eating consistently with calories, but they do not have their nutrition nailed down to maximally facilitate quality progress. And the advanced lifter does. The advanced lifter basically has everything all nice and tidy, from form to training. They tend to take everything reasonably seriously. I mean, you know what I mean? They tend to have everything, pretty well focused. It's not that they live some obsessive compulsive life, but they're very consistent with their nutrition. They're very consistent with their supplementation. Their training is super consistent and their form is very, very reasonable. And an intermediate lifter has just the results we all want. Big Joe, how's it going, Big Joe? Thanks for tuning in. We have Diet Root Beer today. I've been off the energy drink kick. I might have one or two a week, but I've been trying to save a little bit of money. And I mean, energy drinks just get so ridiculously expensive. So I've been doing really good with that. Big Lee. Will elbow sleeves help? No, not generally. No, they might provide a little bit of warmth, and but during might make them feel 10% better during a workout. But elbow tendonitis is going to come from over gripping. It's an overuse injury, primarily driven from over gripping. So it might help a little bit. But when that pain sets in, it's usually very exercise specific. If I do a mini fat bastard bulk for the next month, will I be wasting a bulk is never wasted. You just don't want to spend too much time over the course of a year in bulk land. You have to really look at the year as a block, and how much time am I spending in bulking and how much time am I spending in cutting, and you want to maximize that as much as you can. So these little nuances don't really matter as much as the bigger picture. So I'm not big on an aggressive bulk. It's not going to provide a lot of benefit. It's just simply not. There's no good reason to do it unless you're bulking up 8 pounds over a month to get, for a powerlifting meet, you want to maximize recovery and that sort of thing. Fox McMurphy, we're going to scroll ahead. A&W, this is A&W. I shop at Kroger, and a lot of times, like once a month, they'll have like 5 billion cases for $5 or whatever. So I like to get this. Good flavor, no caffeine. And, call me weird. Go ahead. But like drinking straight water, I'm okay with it. But if I'm going to have a tendency to drink more fluids through the day, if I'm drinking like a Diet Root Beer or Monster. These were even on sale at Ollie's. I mean, they're okay. They're not anything like I crave or anything, but, for like a couple, 2-3 cents a piece, a little bit of flavor, you can't go wrong. All right, Big Lee. In one of your posts, you mentioned week A and week B and a mystical week C. I'm considering adding a week C because all things falling into place. I'm usually an A-B guy. I'm usually an A-B guy. You can do an A-B and see if you're doing like a rotation on squats or deadlift or bench, doing some form of periodization, but I'm generally not a C guy. You could probably get away with it on deadlifts. You could probably get away with it on bench if you're doing reasonable exercise rotation, like close grips and regular bench and maybe Larson press. You can definitely get away with it. But just be careful getting too far away from exercises like squats, etc. When doing rest pause or dynamic double progression, unilateral work, should I do both? Should I do one side complete destroyed? I generally don't do or advocate rest pause for unilateral work. Generally not. If you want to do it, go right ahead. You're going to have to brutalize one side and then brutalize the other. So you're going to have to do one side and then the other. Certain exercises, like the alternating lunge, you can do like that without doing one side or the other. I prefer alternating lunges. You could do an alternating dumbbell bench press like that with rest pause. But things like Bulgarian split squats and dumbbell rows, I generally don't advocate rest pause because I don't personally like bashing one side and then having to collect all my mental sanity and bash another side. Does that make sense? So dynamic double progression. I don't typically put DDP on unilateral work. I generally don't. If you want to, you can, but you're always going to have one side that might be slightly more noticeably weaker. So I always tie the progression indicator into the weaker side. Like on dumbbell rows, for example, way back in the early days, my left arm and when I started, I was using like 40 pounds on the dumbbell row. I was able to do a couple more reps with 40s on my right arm than my left. Here I am 40 years later, and I have pretty substantial dumbbell row strength, and I still can do 2 more reps with my right arm than I can with my left arm at the same weight. All those years of training has not fixed that difference. It is very, very minimal. But when I'm doing a progression indicator, I'm going to do it off the weak side. So let me just get something up. Lee's asking about the Bradford press, and I want to see if I can find a video. Holdy on. I want to find a video of the old Bradford press so we could take a look at it and speak intelligently, because a lot of folks don't know what it is. All right, so a Bradford press, let me just make sure this is muted, and I'll kind of share my general thoughts. This young lady cleaned it off the ground. Nice clean form. Dupe right over the old noodle noggin. She says, setup starting seated on bench, execution. Now we're going in slow motion. So I don't have any issues with this. If you can do this, go right ahead. Just make sure you have the mobility to drop it back on your shoulders. And if you can't, you can just you can be more meticulous, with your execution, more controlled, bring it down to the bottom of the ear and then bring it down here about the chin level. You can be more controlled and more meticulous on it. I don't know that I've ever had a client use it as their primary. You certainly could. There's nothing wrong with it. It might be, I'm just thinking out loud, it might be a good exercise for a finisher on shoulder day, where you try to get to like rest pause, 40 reps or something, and you could set the bar down just for a brief second to collect yourself and then get back after it. I'd be curious if any of you guys want to try it. Let me know your thoughts. Are the Brewers winning the World Series this year? I don't know, man. Baseball is crazy once you get into the playoffs. Absolutely crazy, and such a game of momentum. I would love to see that. They are just having an amazingly wonderful year. Baseball, I tend to appreciate the good things and knowing that very few teams are going to actually win a World Series. So I try to focus on just the positives. Got any Milo Sarchev stories? No, not at all. I never interacted with him at all. Every now and then, I check my Facebook memories nearly every morning to see, what I had going on way back when. And today, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago, I was training and doing content with bodybuilder Juan Morel, IFBB Pro. I don't even know if he is still around, to be honest with you. But no, I don't have any Milos stories. Big Justin, how's it going, Justin? Good to see you. Richard, greetings. I wish you a Friday full of opportunities. Thank you, sir. Same to you. Hey, Steve and Team Massive, thanks for joining in. Good to have you here. Could you please help with the stiff leg deadlift technique? Sometimes I feel like I work my hams and other times my glutes. Don't worry about that, Richard. Worry about consistent setup. Okay. Worry about being consistent with your setup. On a deadlift, you're going to have the center of your shoulders just a little bit forward of the center of the bar. And your hips are going to be in a natural, neutral position. They're not going to be too low. They're not going to be too high. On a stiff leg deadlift, you're going to raise your hips until they are just slightly lower than your shoulders. Then from there, you're going to get a good brace and you're going to pull up. When you are looking down, you want about 40% of your foot in front of the bar when you're initiating or setting up for a stiff leg deadlift. You want about 40% of your feet in front of the bar. Then grab the bar, raise your hips, and then lower them just below your shoulder level, and then pull from that brace position. I can see if I have a video we can share. This is an exercise I've really started to do myself the last couple of years. And it is one I've started to give to my clients. And I just want to make sure. There's a lot of confusion about the stiff leg deadlift. So I want to make sure. Hold on, folks. I think we have it here. We'll look at Alan Thrall because he has a pretty decent video on it. Present, share screen, boom, boom. Okay, so you can see you want to set up with about 40% of your feet in front of the bar. And let's just get to the juicy part. About 40% of your feet in front of the bar. You can see that. You're going to sink your hips just till they're a little bit below your shoulders. Okay, see how his hips are slightly below his shoulders. He's getting that good back bracing, that good core bracing, and then getting in a good position and just standing straight up. Whoops, somehow that got locked up. Let's see if we can see another row. Let's get a little bit of bar roll. Hips right below your shoulders. Get a good bracing, lock in the lower back. The lower back, I don't know what that is. The lower back should not round at all during a stiff leg deadlift. When is the right time to deload? There are some really good videos I have on this channel about deloading, and I encourage you guys to head over to YouTube and check them out. All you need to go is to the main page of my YouTube channel, and from there, you want to search in the magic bar of searching, and I'll show you. You want to search deload. I have some really, really good information. I'm not brushing off your question, but if you go over here and you want some really good information, rules you should know about the deloading. So we can kind of peruse these a little bit. We'll scoot forward. I don't like scheduled deloads. They're very arbitrary. I'm going to deload every 8 weeks. I'm going to deload every 12 weeks. Not my thing. If that's your thing, go ahead. There's no downside. I don't particularly think there's any upside in deloading when you don't necessarily need time off. Now, one of the things I teach is that during the course of a year, there's going to be many things trying to pull you away from lifting. So you're going to get a lot of forced deloading, okay? Many things taking away, trying to pull you away from the gym, stealing your time. These are going to cause natural deloads. I will say in general, every 3, 4, 5, 6 months of training during this phase, if you want to take a week away from training, just take a mental break, physical break, nothing wrong with that at all. I just don't like frequent deloading, like every 4 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 6 weeks. Generally not necessary, but it could be in a case-by-case situation. Rule number 1, take time off when you're sick. Don't be the guy that wants to go into the gym and drive his immune system down. If you're sick, take time off. This is nature's deload. Number 2, take time off for special occasions. Vacation, birthday, holidays, whatever, New Year's. Take time off, enjoy life, do your thing. I'm not telling you have to, but what all of these are is examples of how life is pulling you away from the gym. And my bigger point here is that you're going to get plenty of time over the course of a year where you're going to have to miss time from the gym. That's kind of like natural deloading. Let's see. Rule number 3, take an extra day or 2 off when you need a mental break. Hey, man, I'm just burned out from lifting. Take a break. Take a day or 2 off. Refresh. Don't pressure yourself. And then come back when you feel ready. That's a good time to take time off. Number 4, take an extra day or 2 off when you feel beat up. Hey, I'm feeling beat up. A lot of times people will be like, the old school thinking was, I feel beat up. Let's take a deload week. Every time you feel beat up, let's take a deload week. No, what I want you to do is think about this. If you're feeling beat up, take a couple of days off, from training. Go strap on that feed bag. Go get some rest. And then when you come back, if you want to deload for a couple of days, if you're still feeling beat up, deload for a couple of days. Not necessarily a week, just a couple of days, see how you feel, and then get right back on the attack. Rule number 5, take a complete week off every 6 months or so. In the massive iron world, we focus on blocks of training. Generally 4 or 5 months is a good period. It could be as low as 3 months, or it could be 6 months or more. After a solid block of training, if you want to take a week off, just to lick your wounds, to gather your senses, to not worry about calories or hard training, and then get back after it, that's probably a good idea. Rule number 6, pull back on general intensity during a cut. So when you have those cutting periods, I'm not telling you can't push for a PR or can't take an easy rep, but you can pull back a little bit on the intensity. Take the extra reps when they want to come, but don't over push. Allow it just to be like a natural time in your training year where you can kind of still train, but kind of hold the ship steady and add a few reps here or there when they come easily. And let's see. Boom, boom. Enjoy vacation. I mean, most of my clients end up moving more on vacation than they expect. If you want to stay active, do so. Just don't make it something that ruins your vacation experience. Don't put that kind of pressure on yourself. Life is short. Rule number 8, use the first 1 or 2 weeks of a new program to break in. So when you start a new phase of training, if you don't want to take a week off, understand that when you start a new phase of training, you're doing something different, a new approach. You're going to ease in. You're going to learn the demands of the exercises, the program, the specific split, the specific protocols. So the first couple of weeks are kind of a break-in period. They might actually leave you more sore, but they could feel more like a break-in period. You just never know. And let's see. That is really about it. So I hope that helped a little bit. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Big Justin Jones. Since I can't do pull-ups anymore for a while, is the lat pull down V-grip enough? You have to look at the context of your overall weekly volume. Having at least one lat-focused exercise is generally a good foundation. Don't fall into the pit where you think you're not working your lats on rows. I feel my lats working incredibly hard on dumbbell rows. We try to compartmentalize rows and, the mid-back and the lats, and the rhomboid. We try to compartmentalize things a little bit too much and pretend that like a row doesn't hit the lats and like, hitting the lats doesn't hit the rhomboids. They're compound movements. So My point is I can really feel my lats working hard on dumbbell rows and pendlay rows. So as long as you have one in the mix, that's fine. If you can do 2 a week, and you like to do 2 a week for lat, more of a lat focus, that's fine as well. Sith, good to have you. Thoughts on DC training? First off, I'll say Dante is one of my favorite people to follow on social media. He doesn't talk a lot, but when he does, it usually echoes very loudly. Dante and I are cut from the same cloth in many, many ways. I like rest pause training. I have many iterations of rest pause training. I don't specifically like his program. I'm not saying it's a bad program. Okay. So we have to be very crystal clear on that. It's a good program. I don't particularly like to run it as it sits. Now, we have to, when we say things like this, we have to understand that anytime you take a program, you have the freedom to evolve it based on personal preference, because no program is magic. So whether it's dog crap or one of my programs, you're going to get into the gym. You're going to say, I like this, I don't like that. You're going to evolve it a little bit. Initially, when I did dog crap training, I didn't like it as it was. So I evolved my own rest pause system called Bulldozer. Props to Dante. He created the whole rest pause thing. It stuck in my brain. And I started creating a lot of rest pause systems. I have Bulldozer training, which came out such a long time ago. And there's so many iterations of rest pause that I use right now for my clients, down to savage training, escalating density, just so many tools. So it's a fine way of training. There are certain things philosophically that, we differ, nothing major, more minors. But if you're not hitting PRs on a specific exercise, rotating them out, when you become a late intermediate, advanced, you're not going to hit a lot of PRs. So you could get in the position where you're doing a lot of exercise rotation. I'm not specifically a fan of that. But if it works for you, go for it. I personally would be rotating exercises way too frequently, and I don't know that I would have benefit. Jeff, good to see you, Jeff. Thanks for tuning in. Big Ernie, thanks for tuning in. Fickenberger. Sorry, I can't resist that name. Fickburger Lutzy Boy, happy Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Ernie, I've been doing seal rows and 3x8 rep scheme for several months. Do you think threes? There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, a little bit of variety wouldn't hurt, as long as you don't mind changing weight. You could certainly try it. It's not going to be magical, but, if you enjoy it, and you like that challenge, by all means. I like to do the heavier set first and then do back down work. So if you like doing that, by all means, do it. Now, I'm going to pull up a video because a lot of you don't know what the Hatfield squat is. And I think these are good learning opportunities. Introduce some of you guys to new exercises. So just give me a second. Hatfield squat. Let's see if we can get a good video. I always have to screen these a little bit because you just don't know if you're going to get a knucklehead that doesn't really understand them. So I think this dude is doing them. Let's just take a look. Present, share screen. You never know what you're going to get on Influencer Fitness. Level up your legs with the Hatfield squat. So you got your safety squat bar. You can see he's going to be holding onto the rack or the barbell. Oh, he's going a little bit too dive bomby, a little bit quick. I don't like doing them like this, so just ignore his speed. I'd like to see more control. But basically, you hold the rack or the barbell in front of you and do squats. And that's, and Carry Fitness. I have nothing but respect for them. I just don't like to squat that way. And it's not my favorite way to have my clients squat, meaning the speed. So, yeah, no, I don't think it's silly at all. I have clients doing it. It's a good variation. If you like doing it, go ahead. If it helps focus on your quads, go ahead. Ian, good morning. I know I answered your questions already. Nolan, a client of mine, massive lifting story of the week. Let's see. Let's talk about jiu-jitsu. So I don't know if this is a boring story or not. Way back, I lived in Idaho for a year after I got out of the military, upper Idaho near Coeur d'Alene, Hayden Lake area. I was selling cars up there at Dave Smith. Any of you guys out in that area know who Dave Smith's is. Anyway, around that time, this was 95-ish, early ages of the UFC. And I lived literally in a cabin on overlooking Hayden Lake, just a cheap $300 a month cabin next to somebody's house. And I would drive down into Coeur d'Alene, sell cars, drive back up. I just had an old school TV. This is going to sound crazy to some of you, but there was an old arthritic wolf that was roaming that area, and people started to feed it. It was in very, very bad shape. And all I had in my cabin was a fireplace, a bed, a kitchen, and a little bit of a living space, right? So the arthritic, I had a sliding glass door on my cabin, and the arthritic dog, this arthritic wolf, would come up looking for food. And I would leave some out, and they kept coming back every night. There's a lifting story here. So hang tough, but I'm kind of going down a rabbit trail. It would come back every night. It started coming back every night. And you could tell it was in really bad shape. It could hardly walk, poor thing. And I decided to open the door one night and let it come in and put the plate of food in. And I did. And it kind of moved slowly in and ate. And then it noticed the fireplace, and it walked over and just sat in front of the fireplace. So I didn't know what to do. How do you get a wolf out of your cabin? I don't know. That's not something you're taught in high school, right? Here I was just a dum-dum. I was like 28. So I just kept the sliding door cracked, and I woke up in the morning. It was gone. Next day and evening it came back. It stayed there. I don't know. It didn't do this for long, but I think like 5 to 7 days it would come and eat and sit by the fireplace, and I left it alone. It left that night, and that's a true story. But anyway, back in those days, I had a TV, and I would go. I didn't really have a lot to do. I had a gym that was close, and I would go to the gym, but I would go to the video store and get all the UFC VHS tapes, the original one with Hoist Gracie and the sumo wrestlers and Dan Severn. I would just watch them and watch them and watch them. Well, I started to pick up books on the martial arts at the time, just curiosity, everything from Jeet Kune Do to different forms of Kung Fu. And this was the early age of the martial arts where we didn't really know where we were beginning to understand what was truly effective in the real world and what wasn't. But there are a lot of the texts, I don't know how you pronounce it correctly, Bagwazang or Zhang or Zhang or Sing Ai or however you pronounce it, those little Kung Fu schools. You got, I don't know, I'm not an expert. I never took lessons, but there was, is it YMAA Books Publishers? Put out some really incredible books on these forms of martial arts. And I found them at like a Barnes and Noble or whatever back in the day. So I would sit there in my cabin practicing circle walking and things like that. You know, it was just um, you know, just something I would do for extra activity. I got kind of immersed in that the year I was in Idaho, and I always wanted to take up the martial arts. And back then I took an interest in jujitsu just because of what the Gracies were doing. But this was like 95, right? Where do you do jujitsu in the middle of Idaho in 95? And then I ended up getting married a couple years later, completely forgot about it, got back into lifting. But I always wanted to give it a shot. I'll be 58 this year. And 2 years ago, I went to a school, took a tour, was ready to sign up. And I kid you not, the next night I was taking the dog down the stairs and I twisted something in my knee. And it was so bad for 8 months, I could barely even do leg extensions. I thought I was never going to be able to train legs again. I thought for sure I was going to need surgery. It was inflamed for like 8 straight months. And being an idiot, I just went with it. Now it's fine. And I'm going to be starting jujitsu on September 3rd. Excited, terrified, but I'm going to be doing that on Friday night, no gi, and on Wednesday night, no gi, just for a starting point. So that's not really a lifting story, but it's a story that involves a wolf and Hoist Gracie and various forms of Kung Fu. How about that? Let's see, we got that one. The science guys say that in general, isolation are better for muscle growth because I don't know I'm not being argumentative, and I don't know anybody that says that. I've never heard anybody say in all my years of lifting that isolation is better than compounds. I've never heard anybody say that. Just to be fair, and I'm not being argumentative. I'm not, I've never in all my life, heard any influence or whatever say isolation exercise are better for muscle growth. So this type of thinking is nonsense. You guys need to detach from anybody teaching you a limited path or a path of fear, right? This is very much what this channel is against. Anybody that's saying isolation only is the magical way. Anytime you hear a magical way or a narrow path, that's a huge red flag. And you guys need to detach from these types of influencers because this is the worst form of toxic content. There's a wide path. You need to have a good selection of exercises that treat your body good, that have a progression overload opportunity. As simple as that. Woodulus from Scotland, good to see you. Any plans for Sausage 6? No, I have 5 dogs, and I can only have 5 dogs. That's all I am allowed. And unless I win the lottery and am able to, buy a $1 billion home and have as many dogs as I want, I put together with AI. Let's see, AI. I put together you can take a picture with some of these AI tools and you can animate it. And I did that with some of my sausage dogs. Let's see. Here's 5 of them. I'm not sure if this will upload, but I took a picture and I animated. That's literally what my dogs look like. Let's see. Why can't it just keep replaying? But on the far left, that's Bubba Sausages. He's the brown one. He was the first. The one second from left, that's Chichi Rodriguez. That's Chichi Marango, Chichi Garbanzo, Chichi Garbanzo. That's what I call him. He's my dog. He follows me around everywhere. We got him from the breeder, and if you went to touch him, he would scream bloody murder. Somebody did something horrible to Chi-Chi when he was young, and he follows me around. He is literally my dog. And he at night he just sits next to me. He sleeps next to me in bed. Such a wonderful dog. And I don't know why anybody would hurt an animal. The one next to him, the Bluey Skidooey, that's Bluey Skidooey. He's a sweet boy. He's the gray and brown boy. And then the one on the right is Snoopy Doo, or Snoopy Poops, or Poop Poop, I call him. He is big and strong and ferocious. He is a guard dog. These things are more aggressive than you think, and they do not mess around. I think I have a scar. I have a scar from when we play a lot. They like when I take off my hat and wave it. They just try to attack it. But Snoop Dogg on the right is very aggressive and very strong. He doesn't look like he weighs that much more than Bluey on the left, but he is so muscular and strong. It's just ridiculous. All righty. We got that one. If I email you over a recent physique photo, do you mind? No, not at all. Anybody can email me at any time at benthebarman@gmail.com or slide into my DM on Instagram. Better yet, come join the community, Lee. We'd love to have you. Don't hesitate to join the community. Can you explain the new focus of using 2 sets more than the standard 3 or 4 in what I'm doing or in general? The Savage protocol, you're using 2 sets and then you're adding 2 rest pause sets afterwards. So because you're doing, it's not like you're only doing 2 sets. But in the massive iron world, the Savage protocol, you're doing 2 rest pause sets after your last set. So from a functional standpoint, you're basically getting in a 3rd set. Let's say you're doing bench press with whatever weight. You get 8 reps, you get 9 reps with the same weight on the 2nd set, and then you take 10 deep breaths and you do max safe reps and you get 4. Then you do 10 reps, or you take 10 deep breaths and you do another mini set and you get 3. So basically, with the same weight, you just did 8 reps, and then you did 9 reps, and then you did 2 rest pause sets where you got 4 and 3 reps. The 4 and 3 is basically functioning as a 3rd set. It's just more intense because the average rep quality, because you're performing them in a fatigued condition, is more intense. So it's actually probably the hardest set, so to speak. So it's functioning like a 3rd set. Does that make sense? Now, I also have a program where I have 2 sets per exercise, and I believe that's called Massive Mass. The only upside, well, there are probably potentially many upsides, but one of the main upsides to this is that a lot of people like the laser focus of doing 2 sets and getting on to the next exercise, getting in, smashing 2 sets hard, getting out and moving on to the next exercise. This doesn't mean we are inherently reducing our weekly volume, and I can't understate that point. If you are doing a 2-set protocol, it doesn't mean you're doing less weekly volume necessarily. You could be doing 7 or 8 exercises per workout, but depending on your preferences. We're going to try to keep the weekly volume about the same based on how much you can train during the week. So it just allows you for a little bit more laser focus in the massive mass system, and in the Savage system, it just, it's not really 2 sets. It's a sneaky 2 sets. Richard, what progression method do you recommend for self-regulation with big compounds? Auto-regulate, like self. I mean, if you're going to do self-regulation, like I feel like I can move up in weight, then I don't know, maybe straight sets. I mean, you can do step downs, you can do threes, you can do DDP, you can do whatever you want. You're still going to have to use your best guess, at what, when to move up in weight, but you have to really be tight with that. You can't leave yourself a lot of outs. You need to move up when you can move up. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. What is that "You're Not Almost There" song? I tried looking up, but I can't find it. That's the song I wrote, the song that leads in. And I can't play it because they'll flag me for copyright infringement, even though it's my own song. Go to Spotify. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. You Spotify weirdos, go to Spotify and search Massive Iron Official. I'm going to post the link if I can. Let's see, share. I'm going to copy the link to the playlist. There's a playlist for Massive Iron that we put together. Wow, that's a lot. That's a linky link. If you guys are on the YouTube chat, you might be able to open that up. But that's a link to the Spotify playlist on Massive Iron. And the song is called Flack. And it's something I wrote 30 years ago. I have an original version and then a version I did with O2 from YouTube. And it was he took the song and did the music and the screaming. So that's where you can find it. If you can't find it, let me know. But how often should you max out? Never. Don't max out on your deadlift. I mean, you can max out on your bench press occasionally if you're curious. There's no value in doing it. There's really no downside in maxing out on your bench, but it's not going to make you strong. I wouldn't do it frequently. It's just going to be an exercise of futility. On squats and deadlifts, don't do it. It's just the risk reward is way too much. Don't do it. Please don't. Occasionally, rarely, yeah, but certainly on squats and deadlifts, don't do it frequently. What is a rough rule? Do you have a rough rule on how many days of muscle soreness is too many? The kind of indicator of when we should scale back. Well, it's a complex topic, and I'm trying to think through this intelligently. I did German volume training once for squats, and I was brutally sore 8 days later. That kind of extreme training, when you are already conditioned and you're sore for an extended period of time, that's not sustainable. I'm not saying German volume training isn't sustainable. I'm saying for me, squats on German volume training wasn't sustainable. So a lot of the problem with frequency training on legs is that you can have a lot of bleed when it comes to leg soreness. Everything is going to be sore to a different degree. And that's one of the issues that we really tend to dumb down the whole discussion on frequency training. Like everybody must do this at certain intervals, etc. And they treat every exercise and every body part like they're recovering equally, like they're equally sore. And this is nonsense. It's really a dumbing down by influencer culture. So there's a good chance if you do legs, even if it's just a couple exercises on Monday, you might still be sore on Thursday or Friday for your next leg-focused workout. Is it too much? No. Maybe you have to adjust and just do leg extensions or lunges or something. As a beginner, you're probably going to experience a lot more soreness. So you might need a program that accommodates that. That's one reason why a full body might be better, because you're not blitzing a body part. And but you might still have some carryover. On a full body, you might do squats on Monday and still be sore on Friday. So you might have to adjust your program. So there's no rough rule. We just have to kind of be intelligent and be willing to adjust our program rather than stick to some optimization influencer nonsense that guilts us into feeling that we must train with a certain degree of rigidity or we are not going to see gains. Does that make sense? Please stop following that guy. I mean, look, Ian, Paul is the worst of the worst in the industry. We need to stop following Paul. We need to stop supporting this guy. He blocks everybody. He treats everybody the way he treats people. His advice is derivative from other coaches. We know this. He's trying to steal concepts from other coaches and create some system that he build his mass on, and then he's making claims he's building mass on the system when he hasn't. I know because I've met him. I've worked with him. I've worked with him at Muscle and Strength. I met him in person at powerlifting meets and at the Arnold. We spent time together. He's not any bigger now than he was then. That's not a criticism, but Paul is not somebody, I don't recommend following Paul for so many, many reasons. There are much better ways to spend your time in the lifting world. Paul thinks doing overhead and lateral raise one workout is redundant. What do I think? I think it's stupid. I think it's a dumb take. It's a ridiculous take. Paul used to do stuff like this. That's how he built his base. Not only that, but this is just fear culture ridiculousness. Every lifter I know that's been successful has done this at some point. Whether you do full body, upper posterior, full body workouts, the majority, let's say 90% of lifters are doing A-B splits, upper lower, upper posterior, torso, limbs, or body part splits. Doesn't matter. In any of these situations, you are doing probably 2 shoulder exercises. There's a good chance you might be doing overhead and lateral. Not redundant. This is ridiculous. I'm not even going to waste time explaining this. It's just fear culture nonsense. It's inherently ridiculous. It lacks all common sense. It goes against everything we know about training. And it is just, the body is fragile. Do it my way. I'm the special man that invented the special magical system. Red alert, red flag, magic systems, run far away. Sith. Thoughts on barbell rows after good mornings to really relax the spinal erectors? Yeah, it's fine. If I were to do those 2 exercises, I would definitely do good mornings first. Good barbell rows are going to be less lower back intense, but still a lower back stressor. So I would do good mornings first because that is more of a focus on the lower back, and then I would do the barbell rows. I'm going to skip forward just a little bit. Where's the song on Spotify? Go to the Massive Iron playlist or search Flack by Steve Shaw. Okay. Patty, can you scroll up a couple and click that link? Let me know if you're able to. Paul threatened me via DM because I posted an intelligent rebuttal to a concept. This is lifting. We don't threaten people. I'm not going to threaten somebody because they disagree. Like my dad before me, I can't eat until my kids are settled and in bed. This may sometimes just make a plan, stick to it, do the best you can. I know you, man. You train hard. I know you get after it. You'll be good. Um, I lately have been not lifting until like 2 o'clock and not eating all day and lifting after that. Optimal will always be, just getting after it, making sure your calories are tight, etc. Larry, good to see Larry. Larry, thanks for tuning in. Larry said great advice. Larry is somebody back in the day. Anytime I get somebody like Larry telling me good advice, it's an honor. Like it truly is. Larry is a legend in my opinion. I follow him on Facebook, and I did his. I'll share this with you. I did his athlete profile way back in the day on Muscle and Strength when I was at Muscle and Strength. Present, share screen, and this is so. Larry was 46 back then, and let's see if we have a date for when this was put out. Larry, this first comment was from 2012, so 13 years ago. Larry's from Minnesota, and this was from 2012. So I'm honored to have Larry here. Back then, Larry's favorite exercise was the T-bar row. Let's look at how Larry trained. This is Larry's background. Natural bodybuilding champion Larry Bert has competed since 1980, and at the time, 2012, had 35 competitions, teenage Minnesota, all the way up to 2009, IFPA Masters Pro Cup third overall, INBF great pro qualifier first. A lot of firsts in there. Larry's a very experienced bodybuilder, very experienced natural bodybuilder. This is over on Muscle and Strength if anybody wants to look closer. This is his workout back then, Monday, chest, back, and abs. Quite a bit of volume. You got a lot of chest and then a lot of biceps. And then that's how he performs the sets, ramping up. And then back and triceps the next day. And Wednesday off, Thursday, quads, hamstrings, and calves. Friday, shoulders and traps. I love doing the shoulders and traps. Back then, body part split, a lot of volume. And here we are in 2025. Body part splits don't work. Hard training works. Anything works. Just do what you like. But Larry is a true champion. And if you want to see his program, it is over on, or you want to see his profile, it's over on Muscle and Strength. That's his profile. I also did an interview with him, which has a little bit more information back in the day. And that's his favorite 4-day split. When I go on social media and I tell you, back in this era, most naturals were doing body part splits, I'm not kidding. It's not, this is Larry, tell me that's not a great physique. Absolutely amazing physique, amazing natural physique. So glad to have you here, Larry. Honestly, anytime I get somebody, Larry went on to say, can lower pecs still get built at 60? Man, I'll tell you what, we're going to find out, aren't we? I hope so. I don't feel like I'll be 58 this year, and I don't feel like I have to make programming adjustments, but I don't feel like I'm slowing down. I feel like I'm getting more intelligent with my chest training. I feel like I'm getting more intelligent with my training overall with every year. Better focus, better feel, less brutality. I mean, I love brutality, but I'll be 58. So, I'm just kind of combining that good quality. I feel like I'm getting better. I don't see why not. I mean, I really don't. Well, we're going to find out, right? I have lower back pain when bending forward. Is it thrown out? Is your back thrown out? Is it just pain, or do you have a lot of issue standing up? Because there's a good chance you might have thrown out your lower back. It could definitely be caused by barbell squats or any other posterior lift, like good mornings or Romanian deadlifts or deadlifts. So, if you need help with your programming, we might have to reduce the intensity or the frequency of the overall brutality of those lifts to just give them a little bit of space and look at form. Ian says, I went to Mexico for a bit and Red Bull is like $10 there. That's crazy. It's crazy, some of the prices of things. Like, I'm not a big sweets guy, but I love the Fifth Avenue candy bar. Like, if I see one in the store, it's like, eat me, right? There's not many things like that, but it's one of my few things in life that, when I see one, I'm like, if I see a Fifth Avenue candy bar, I'm like, let's just eat that thing and take the hit for 200 and whatever calories. But anyway, it just seemed like 7 years ago that you could get them for like 25, 30 cents in the store. And now they're like $1.50 or something. Like, everything just seems ridiculously expensive. Maybe that's just an old man talking, right? I'm thinking of using my VersaGrips to carry my grocery bags. Well, at this point, that's probably not a bad idea. Asking your wife or your partner to do it is probably not a good idea. If squatting correctly, which muscles are you training? The soreness for me always shows up in the top of the thigh. There's nothing wrong with that. The squat is a very complex movement. So you are going to have your quads, you're going to have your hamstrings, your adductors, abductors, hips, glutes, everything involved in the mix. The one thing there's no right or wrong. Some people are very quad dominant. Some people are more hamstring dominant, glute dominant, hip dominant, whatever. If you can do them, do them. Don't worry about it. If you are quad dominant like me, your quads never get sore from hamstrings, yet your quads are getting big. My hamstrings only get sore. My hamstrings and adductors only get sore on squats, but my quads grow like weeds. That's the beautiful thing about a compound movement. You might only feel it on a weak body part, but that doesn't mean the other body parts aren't growing. Another example is when somebody comes to the gym and they're a newbie and they start to bench or overhead press, their front delts are so incredibly sore that they think all they're working is their front delts. The front delt is generally the weak muscle group in the movement. So when you come to the gym and you're benching and you're a newbie and you get that front delt soreness, it doesn't mean your chest and triceps aren't being stimulated. Absolutely the opposite. 100% the opposite. So don't peg effectiveness to soreness. As long as your technique is correct or decent, it is going to hit all the muscles in that movement to varying degrees. This is why, is the squat a perfect movement for you when it comes to quad development? Well, perfect isn't one exercise. It is a quality selection of exercises, right? We don't just do squats. We do squats and leg press, or squats and hack squats, or squats and pendulum, or squats and leverage squats, or adding in lunges, or Bulgarian split squats, or sissy squats, or whatever you want. We have a quality selection of exercises, just like natural champion Larry, Bert, that I just showed you. A quality selection, that's the important part. You can try to unravel that complexity and determine, is this exercise hitting this muscle group? Is this exercise hitting that muscle group? But at the end of the day, we're not always very, very certain of what is hitting what. So we want to put together that good quality selection of exercises. I want to show you guys a video just to show you the degree of, let me just make sure this is muted. Let me remove this. This is a video I posted today on Instagram. And I am a squatter. I squat, and squat. It's in the last 20 years working in home gyms, it has been squats and then sometimes lunges and squats and sometimes more squats and more squats. I'm a squat guy, and I rarely ever get sore in the quads. But this is a video of me doing lunges, but it really shows my quad development from squats, even though I never get sore on squats. So you can see the inner quad and the outer quad, nice development. Around the time where I went to Tiger Fitness, I started doing more lunges and more well-rounded quad work. But this is almost all squats when I never get sore in the quads from squats. So I hope that helps some. All right, where were we at? Let's see. I can never hold back on any set. What would you recommend volume-wise for recovery in this case? Volume is going to be evolved based on you, soreness, and what you like. So if you like to maximize every set, I would probably start with 2 per exercise. And then on any specific exercise, if you feel you want to add a 3rd set, go right ahead, and then you can evolve it based on that. Does that make sense? The bench press at Boss. If you were planning a 10-day hiking trip, that was 110 miles. Wow, that's pretty intense. Sounds like a lot of fun. What exercise for strength would you focus on? I wouldn't specifically for strength. Like if it was way off in the future, if it was way, way off in the future, then I would just do normal quad building. I would do a well-rounded base, 3-4 exercises per week for legs, just to build up a base. But I would also add in some elevation training. I don't run up inclines. I walk up inclines. So Stairmaster or finding a hill you can do locally and just do endless hill repeats at least once a week. You want to go out and do some general hiking at least once a week, and then you want to go out and do some hill repeats once a week. This is something that really, would require some digging into. The biggest thing is you want to go out and do some hiking right now. Not that it's going to inherently condition you for 10 miles a day for 10 straight days, but it will mentally get you prepared with some of the demands. So I would go out at least once a week and try to do 10 miles of hiking, like on a Saturday. Ian, are you watching the UFC? I just got an email this morning that it was on. I was so out of the loop, so I'm going to have to check it out. In my house, when it comes to what we are watching, and Lee, I just got your email. In my house, when it comes to what we are watching, it is, what my wife wants to watch. So I'm okay with that. I'm not, I can't find the UFC email. Anyway, we'll see. Does deloading mean using a lighter weight? Generally, the general guidelines are to drop weight about 30% and drop a set per exercise. That's just a general guideline. It's not a magic rule, etc. It's just a general guideline. Did you hear that Hussein Farhat was just exposed, fake natty official. We were talking about that today on Team Massive, so I did hear about it. Doucette just outed as a fake natty. I heard he was taking a pretty extensive cycle. I didn't really pay. I was prepping for Team Massive or prepping for Massive Iron Live, so I didn't really get into the details, but it sounded like he had a pretty extensive history when it came to PEDs. Big Lee, is a dumbbell hamstring curl even possible to do on your own? Possible. Highly, it can be aggravating putting a dumbbell between your feet, and then you got to make sure not to toss it up on your lower back or spine. Not my favorite way to train, not what I would do. John, would you recommend a deficit RDL over a regular RDL? You can't have a deficit RDL. It's physiologically impossible unless you have the craziest unique leverages. You can't physiologically have a deficit RDL. An RDL focuses on pushing your glutes back to load the hamstrings. On an RDL, you push the glutes back until they can no longer move back, and that's the end. Then you push your hips forward again. The bar only lowers on an RDL by pushing the glutes back. We're not concerned how deep we go with the bar because that's not an RDL. An RDL is about pushing the glutes back to load the hamstrings until the glutes can no longer move back, and then we push them forward, okay? If you want to do a deficit lift, you could do a deficit stiff leg deadlift or a deficit deadlift, but you can't do a deficit RDL. In an RDL, you're pushing the glutes back to get that, induce that stretch reflex, okay? You're not trying to overstretch the hamstrings. But as you push the glutes back on an RDL, you should be able to feel some hamstring stress or loading. Starting from the bottom, then you're starting to get it. Excuse me, I must have swallowed a dog hair or something. If you start from the bottom, that's not a Romanian deadlift, so I hope that helps. Lifting with wolves. I never actually got to the point. If you heard my story earlier, I never actually got to the point where I got too close to the wolf. I remember him sitting in front of the fireplace, and in my kitchen, I was standing behind the counter, which was about, 15 feet away, and that's literally as close as I got. But honestly, he was so arthritic and looked so old. I could tell he'd been wandering around, just people had been feeding him for a long time. I don't believe he was much of a threat, but I wasn't about to find out. Never rattle the cage of an old man. You might find something you don't expect. Michael from Germany, good to have you. Joshua, no gi, so Jello wrestling, jiu-jitsu, something like that. Michael, my question, what if your weight stagnates after 9 weeks of cutting and the math says you got to be in a deficit? Would you increase activity levels? So one of the things that can happen during a cut is that it can seem like you're not losing weight. There's something called the whooshing effect, and it's speculatory. I don't think we fully understand it, but it kind of goes like this. And again, this is speculatory, and this isn't anything I made up. It's just something I've experienced with my clients to varying degrees, and something I have seen on myself. You can follow a calorie deficit and the scale's not dropping. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, you have a big drop one day. And you find yourself running to the bathroom and you're losing a lot of water weight. There is the possibility that the fat cells or the body is in self-preservation mode to a degree for a brief moment, and it is holding on to things. It could be filling the fat cell with water. And then all of a sudden the water, which is kind of like self-preservation. I'm not sure if this is going to be consistent or if this is going to go on for a while, but I'm going to fill the fat cell up, and we're not going to give up on that fat cell yet. And then all of a sudden the body realizes that there is consistency when it comes to a calorie deficit, and then you get the whoosh effect where you just lose weight very, very quickly. Now, if you're in a cut and you start to hit a point of stagnation, you have to decide based on your energy levels and your level of motivation, whether you want to cut calories a little bit or you want to add in a little bit of cardio. So if you're feeling very drained, adding cardio probably doesn't make sense. If you're feeling a little bit low on the energy side, but you feel like you could cut calories another 100, that might be the better way to go. So it's really, what do I have time for? What's the best approach? You are already spending a lot of time in the gym, regarding your workouts. So I don't really know that you need to do that. So just hang tough. We want to make sure that, we're not going to get that whoosh effect. And I'm not saying, that's going to happen, but there's a good chance if you wait, you could have one of those days where you just lose a couple. The whoosh effect is a popular fat loss idea that describes a sudden noticeable drop in scale weight after a period of little to no change, almost like your body flushes weight overnight. Here's how it's usually explained. During fat loss, fat cells shrink as they release stored triglycerides. In the short term, the body may replace some of the space with water, possibly as part of inflammation, glycogen changes, or hormonal shifts, or maybe just self-preservation mode, maybe not ready to down-regulate those fat cells yet. This can mask fat loss on the scale. You're losing fat, but the water makes your weight look stable. Then seemingly overnight, whoosh, you get the whoosh. That's kind of how you see it occasionally. Not on everyone. Not everyone experiences this, but I know that's not directly answering your question, Michael, but in your case, just decide, if you can. What I would do is, if you're at 2,000 calories and you have a really good day, is maybe have a day where you go down to 1,800, and then a day when you go back to 2,000. A day go to 1,800 or 1,900. A day when you go back to 2,000. Don't just completely sell out to the lower range. Maybe start to do a little bit of cycling. Not that calorie cycling or carb cycling is magic, but you can have a little bit of bounce back, a little bit of higher calorie intake one day and a little bit lower. We're kind of stepping down, so to speak. Joshua, forearm isolation is greater than compounds. I built my forearms completely from no direct work, little to no direct work. I will say that most people are going to develop very, very substantial forearms from not doing any direct work at all. That doesn't mean you can't do any direct work or you shouldn't do any direct work. But I just want you to understand, if you want big forearms, you just going into the gym and working over the course of 5 to 10 years, your forearms are going to grow, and they're going to grow fairly substantially. And there's, you have to decide if you want extra forearm work, but mine grew like monsters, and I've never really done any direct work. Any tips on mixing lifting with jiu-jitsu? I have a lot of clients that do multiple disciplines. the key is that we just really need to balance lifting so it fits in. Generally, you're going to have to decide how many days a week works for you when it comes to recovery. And we have to kind of adjust things based on that. I'm not sure if that makes sense. There's no right or wrong way. Everybody's going to recover a little bit different. Everybody's going to jiu-jitsu practice a certain number of days per week. We just have to be smart with it. Maybe pull training down to 3 days, maybe pull training down to 2 days. Do compound workouts train the biceps? Absolutely. Compounds are going to be your bread and butter of building all muscle. That doesn't mean we don't do isolations. We certainly do. But you're not going to get maximum upper body mass just doing isolation work. You need to have a good mix of both. And my triceps are primarily built on compound movements, presses and presses and more presses and presses. And I have incredibly large triceps from almost all compound focus. I'm not pushing that as a narrative. I'm just using that as an example. If you were given $1 million do you think you'd still coach? Yes, because it's not. After the government takes 50% and after I pay off my home and my debt, then I have no income. So in this day and age, it'd probably be more of a question of if you got 20 million, right? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel that deep in your core, deep in your soul? But if I had that kind of money, I would still interact. I would still be part of a lifting community. I would still probably spend more time putting together courses in education. That's one thing I really like to do, but I don't have time. I don't make Dr. Mike money. Dr. Mike makes more money on a single YouTube video than I've made on my life in YouTube, which is an incredibly large amount of money. And he can focus on, he's not selling his time. I love coaching, but if I was at that level, I would probably reduce things and really focus on education and still being part of a bigger community. Your Snoopy is built like Franco. Indeed, he is. Small dogs are often bred to be the hunters of rodents. I will tell you, the dachshund is incredibly aggressive and incredibly strong and athletic. You would be surprised if you've never been around one. In my 2-week break from uni and went home to my parents' house, but only have up to 50 kilogram dumbbells, can do 2-plate RDLs, but would, yeah, you can do a single leg RDL. That's absolutely fine. Just, keep your lower back safe and focus on getting in a good volume. That's going to be what we call holdover work. It's not that it isn't effective, but, it's not that it can't induce growth, but it's only a 2-week period. So you want to do something reasonable that holds over your gains, so to speak. That's better than not training. Lee, there's no greater love in this world than a dad and a dog. He says, we're not keeping 3 days and the dog will be by the dad's side and the dad will care more about the dog than his own wife and kids. That may or may not be true. I don't think it's that extreme, but the dog is so loyal, it's impossible not to love. Image of my rear delts. I did get the email, so thanks. I'll check that out. Patty. We got that. Sorry, taken care of. Sorry for that. Any downsides in doing a 4th set of an exercise? No, not at all. If on a given day you want to add a little bit of extra saucy sauce in, go right ahead. Have fun. Just don't get injured. There's no downside as long as you are smart. Is it okay to do good mornings if you work out at night? Yes. Call Carl Barter, the type of fellow to go, uh, yeah, when he's sleeping. Carl Barter, Paula Carter, whatever you want to call him. Craze Corgi. Last call for questions, guys. We have 4 questions left. If I don't get any more questions, I will be hopping off. Drain is also your album. That's the story. I have a lot of music that's not out there. Drain is mine. I had an album that I recorded. If I play it, I'll get a copyright check. Hold on. I have about 7 albums that I recorded. A lot of it's crap. Some of it's okay. Let's see. I used to do a lot of shows. I'm not great, so yeah. But you can hear like the song Sunflower, is something I wrote for my wife. So if you want to go over to Spotify and search Sunflower, there's no real backstory. Just for a long time, I tried to play music. I wrote a few good songs, a lot of bad songs. Basically, long story short, is that for a long time I just played guitar. And then I kind of woke up, I don't know, 10 years ago and realized I could kind of semi-sing. So I started recording a lot of music. I'm not a great singer, and I'm not going to pretend that I am, but I could passably sing in key. So I started to do a lot of recording on a lot of local artists, played a lot of local shows, trying to, work on my chops. Some songs came out really good. A lot of it's crap. It's nothing exceptional. Half of it's probably just borderline obnoxiously embarrassing, but it is what it is. I tried. I wasn't good. I moved on. A man fell off the Sandia Peak yesterday. Michael, thanks. That was helpful as usual. Thankful, Michael. Thank you, Michael. What do you think about adrenaline enhancement ECA stacks with nicotine? I don't have any thoughts. ECA stacks used to be really popular back in the day, 15, 20 years ago. They died down. I think they probably died down for a reason. If somebody wants to use something like that as an enhancement on a cut, I'm staying out of it. That's not my jam. That's not my thing. Chemicals and stacks and things like that. I'm just a lifting coach. And I mean that sincerely. That's all I care about. What anybody does outside of that realm, just be careful. All right, guys, I'm going to leave this on just for a second. Before I go, just a reminder, you can head over here and search custom. I have a custom workout service for only $39. I do them on the weekend. So if you want a custom workout done this weekend, get over there and sign up. My most popular service other than coaching. Keep on the lookout. I'm going to be opening up groups for home gym workouts over 40. Nothing that's going to be taken away from Team Massive, just additional ways to connect. And I'm also going to be opening up a new level of coaching, which is going to have bi-weekly video calls, unlimited form checks, and unlimited daily interaction. If you are interested in that, I'm probably going to be only opening up 3 of those slots because they are very intense. This goes for existing clients who are going to have a shot at this first if they feel they want a next level. And then I will look at taking on new clients. Honestly, I know it's funny in the lifting world, every coach says, I have 2 client slots available, right? And usually they always have 2 client slots available. Honestly, I stay booked. I do. When I say I have a slot available, it's legitimately somebody moved on, went in the military, had a kid, wanted to have surgery. When I go on social media and say I have a spot available, it's because I just had, somebody transition. But I stay I 100% stay packed. I mean, really for the last 7 years. You know, I have a full client roster. The only time I typically mention it is when, you know, somebody has transitioned. But if you're interested in coaching, you know, just check it out. I'd love to work with you. And if you're interested in that next level, hit me up. We can talk about it. All right, guys, that is it. Whoops, let me get that out of here. That is it. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Please tune in every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to be here until I'm not. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful weekend.
It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.
Now put your other leg over. I got you.
Yep.
Legs curl under.
Secure.
Okay.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep. This is like a little ride.
You get to do these next with me on your back.
This is so easy.
Ready?
Yeah? What are you going to do?